Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sidebar Cantina, the podcast where we talk about Star Wars. Sorry, I thought I heard myself through your computer for a second. Pop culture, playing with droids from Galaxy's Edge, or whatever the fuck we feel like talking about. I'm Mr. Jason Roscoe, and with me here each and every single week, the Darth Vader to my Palpatine, Dave Martin. Hello, Dave.
Oh, Jason.
You're like, who's the Batman villain that had the long thing? The
Penguin.
Penguin. Okay.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm swell.
Well, before we get into anything else, we want to give a huge shout out to the third member of the crew, Lunar Girl, also known as Kelly. She's been very busy with her family, doing a lot of, family stuff. Don't want to get into too many details. I'll let her dispense those out as necessary. But just wanted to give a huge shout out to Lunar Girl, Dragon Buddy, and their family. Hope everything goes well over these next couple of weeks with the things that are going on. Again,
Right.
Don't want to get into specifics, but
Yes.
thinking about you guys. Nothing but love from the Sidebar Cantina.
All of the things that Jason just said.
Yes. So anyway, what are we talking about today?
Well, I think we're talking about the thing that we were going to talk about last week.
Yes. No, we were never going to talk about it last week.
Oh, we were going to talk about. Well, we were still going to talk about Ventress.
Yes.
But we were going to talk about Ventress in Clone Wars episodes.
Yes.
But instead, we didn't.
Right.
So this week, what we're doing is we're gonna talk about Dark Disciple.
Yes. The Christy Golden novel
Right.
from 2015 that Jason just read this week for the first time.
Very good. And I read, I read it. I don't know. It was forever ago. We'd have to go back and look in the tapes to see when I read it. But yeah, so we're finally catching up to it, and we're going to go through it and see whether or not there's any conflagrations and discontinuations of the canon.
Yes, because that's the big thing. That's what's driving us to look at this, because of the appearance of Asajj Ventress in the Bad Batch Season 3 trailer.
Right.
It's like, wait a minute, I heard she died in this book. So we're going to go and take a look-see and see what we can figure out.
Yes. See, just like Tevin just mentioned in the chat. Yes, that's what we're going to talk about. That's why we're talking about it.
Yes.
Because reasons.
See.
3PO.
All right. Before we do anything else, we always have some business to take care of. So should we talk about Patreon first?
You talk about Patreon.
All right.
You and RJ talk about Patreon.
RJ, what do you think? What do you think? Should we talk about Patreon? All right. RJ94 says yes. So we'd like to give a huge shout out to all of our current patrons. Chantal from Pop My Culture, Don Solsky, Scott and Kim from Used and Abused, Frank Kalevich, Wally Frogmore, Tina Land, Carly Vickers, Dragon Buddy, Nick from Sweet Studio, Kristen Roscom, Janine Vickers, Shotgun Mark, Sterling Azier, Lord Helmet Fire, Frederick Martin, my wonderful mother-in-law Patricia Goodstein, The Orange and Fett Show, Ivo G, David Schmuck, Catherine Rennick, and Helen Martin. If you'd like to consider becoming a supporter, you can find us at patreon.com/the Sidebar Cantina. Thank you again to all of our listeners and supporters. You. I'm pulling my Grievous.
Yeah,
impression.
apparently. Jeez.
You are the reason why we do this. Thank you. And over to David.
I don't have shit to say.
Oh, okay.
Hang on. Let me see if I have.
RJ is very concerned.
RJ should be concerned because I don't have anything to say.
Well,
Yeah, because I am lost without Luna Girl giving me notes. So I will just say, remember that part in Scanners?
that dude's head explodes. All right, so I'll ease you from all of your.
Yeah, I got nothing. We'll give some shout outs towards the end for all of our podcast friends.
Yeah,
and feel free to talk amongst yourselves in the YouTube chats.
Oh, maybe instead of, talking good about them and pumping them up and advertising them at the end like we normally do, since Kelly didn't give us notes, we should just talk shit about them and like all the bad things that we don't like about them.
That's fair. Stay tuned, folks.
Stay tuned to the end.
Yeah.
So we didn't get much Star Wars news this week. We kind of last week was a whole catch up of Star Wars news.
Right.
Nothing really happened since then, unfortunately. You put a note in here to check for episode 1 tickets. So far, nothing.
Motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Like, and you know what sucks is it's time traveling between last week to this week as far as thinking even about Star Wars and like this, and I'm like, fuck, I'm thinking about it now and a week has gone by. Did we miss it? Did we miss the opportunity? Like, what the fuck? I can't be the only one thinking about this. I'm sure Jason's thinking about it. So that's why I put in the notes. I'm like, hey, question mark?
Yeah.
Because literally, like, we're at this point in our lives where the time just goes by, like you blink your eyes and it's just like, oh shit, it's another fucking week that's gone by. And I have that when I go to bed at night. Like I feel like I just woke up.
Yeah, like what the fuck happened to my day kind of thing.
Yeah, well, not even thinking that. It's just I really make it a conscious effort to fulfill my day. And I don't feel like that I wasted the day, but I'm cognizant of the fact that when I'm laying down, it's like, it still feels like I jumped ahead in time to that moment.
Okay.
It's very weird. There's probably some psycho thing.
He said it, not
There's
me.
probably some psychosis that is part of that, but you know, I do consciously make an effort to try and be like, yo, this is you're fulfilling your day to the best possible conclusion. And then when I'm going to bed, I just have that feeling of like, fuck, I feel like I just woke up. So it's hard. And then we fast forward to, you know, from podcast to podcast. I'm like, I think that's why I struggle every week to come up with what did I do during the week.
Right.
Because it's like, all of a sudden it's like, fuck, we were just here. Like it couldn't have been a week already. And yet here we are.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it's an old thing. Maybe it's a getting old thing.
It very well could be.
Fuck, man. Getting old is not only sucks, but it's weird.
It is. Yeah. Yeah, I've kind of like been thinking about that a lot lately. Actually, like, God, I feel, for the first time in my life, I'm starting to feel old.
Yeah. Well, it's look. I'm not saying it as a bad thing. In fact, you know, Rick and I don't know if he's in the chat yet, but Rick and I this weekend when we're doing some stuff at my grandparents' house, which I'll talk about during my week, we were kind of joking about. This is a very old person thing, like finding a container. Like, oh wow, look at this! Look at this great box. Like I'm enamored with this fucking box, and like, God, man, this is definitely an old man thing right now. Is that I'm really enjoying this box. Like, look at this box. It's nice and sturdy. It's fucking great. You know what? We're gonna use this box. I'm gonna repurpose this box. And it's like, it's just that's kind of where things are right now. And again, I think it's just part of the process.
Yeah.
And because as we get older, we're becoming more cognizant of time. And I think that's what puts that awareness on it. So because we're more cognizant of it and we're more aware of it, we're seeing it differently.
Yeah. I could see even RJ was concerned.
RJ was so concerned he shut himself off.
Yeah, he went into sleep mode. We'll wake him up later.
Fair enough. You have to reach up into his butthole and fucking tickle him a little bit. Yeah. Where is that, by the way?
I mean, that would wake me up. But
oh,
it's right here.
RJ's getting excited.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. I just got to recycle.
Yeah.
Control delete.
Yeah, pretty much.
There he is.
And he's back.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I forgot what we were talking about.
Episode 1 tickets.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're not up yet. And I do want to say to all the listeners, everybody that's in our Facebook group or follows us on social media, if you catch wind of these tickets going on fucking sale, by all means, let us know. Because we may not be the first people to find this out.
Tag us in some shit. Because we're forgetful.
Yeah.
We're old. You know us. We forget shit.
Yes.
So please, pretty please, with sugar on it. Tell us about the fucking tickets.
All right. Should we move on to our weeks now?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So, and I looked for like a day in Star Wars. There was nothing good day in Star Wars wise. There was no good Star Wars news. So, really.
It's fair.
Yeah. So, I only have one addition to
the Sacred Jedi Galaxies!
And we were talking about the Galaxy's Edge exclusive Black Series figures. And I mentioned how I was missing 3 sets. Well, now I'm only missing 2 sets.
Oh, boy.
So, I picked up on eBay the Smuggler's Run pack. Let me get it on the right tab here so I can actually see the fucking camera. So, yeah, it has Hondo, Rey, Chewie, and some Porgs, because you may see these characters in Galaxy's Edge in one form or another. And it opens up, and then you got them in there.
Nice.
Hondo is probably the most impressive character in here, because I don't know if he's got a Black Series figure that's not from this. But, yeah, that's it. And it actually wasn't that expensive on eBay. One of the ones that I'm missing it's over $100, but the other ones are not terrible.
This isn't the best Rey that they've had.
Yeah, that's like my 5th Rey if you count Dark Rey.
Yeah.
Which, do I really need that many Reys? I don't know. And none of them are opened either. So, but yeah, she'll stay in that packaging forever.
Yeah.
So, but yay, I have chipped away.
Very good.
At some of the park exclusive stuff.
It's a shame that box is taller than the other one.
Yeah.
Have some consistency in your packaging.
I know. Well, unfortunately, as I'm looking at the wall of Black Series, I'm like, fuck, I'm like a month away from having to completely redesign everything again.
Yeah.
Depending on how crazy I go with the Black Series figures. But yeah, that's it. Just
how crazy he goes. Like it hasn't happened already.
Well, okay. But see, it varies from week to week, the level of Black Series.
This is true.
That we do. Like this week was a pretty like low-key week. It was just like one thing. Whereas some days we'll come back, especially after like a 2-week break, and we'll have like 20 fucking figures.
Yeah,
and
when left to his own devices.
Yeah.
Jason with a week off is just like, oh, I'd be doing a podcast now, but I'm just going to surf Facebook Marketplace and see what I can find.
Ooh, I haven't actually looked at Facebook Marketplace for Black Series figures in a long time.
Yeah, you probably should.
Yeah.
I've been finding Lego stuff.
Yeah,
there.
like good deals.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's what I'll do from work tomorrow. I mean, from no, I got nothing.
Wait, hey, everyone's got to sit on the shitter at some point.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. There you go. I'll do it when I'm
right.
When I'm on my break.
Well, do it live. Fuck it. Do it live.
So here's a interesting question about YouTube.
Okay.
So you know how YouTube works off of monetization, and certain content creators, if they get a certain amount of views and subscribers, they get all these fucking perks, they get money,
right?
And all that. And I'm starting to think like, wait a minute, what about like these government agencies and these other people that all have fucking YouTube channels? Like, for instance, the first thought that came to my head was NASA. NASA has 11.5 million subscribers. Their highest rated video has 20 million views. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, do they get money from YouTube?
Oh,
because I mean,
my initial thought would be I doubt it, but
I mean,
there's no ad revenue on their streams.
Oh, so you think that they're not actually like a YouTube partner or whatever it's called?
No, I don't think, because when they're streaming something.
Now, is that because you have like a premium YouTube account?
No, I don't.
Okay, because I know if you're like not logged in at all, you see all the fucking ads in front of every goddamn video.
No,
and then if you're
that hot minute that I had YouTube TV was only so I could fucking stream the football games for that particular day, and then that's it. I canceled.
Okay.
So, no, I don't have. I have a normal YouTube account, and
he shut down again.
I appreciate your battery saving there, RJ, but you could stay awake for a hot minute.
Yeah, we may have to work on that. May have to adjust his programming.
Very good.
So, but you don't think like these entities like NASA or like whoever else that aren't like on YouTube to make money, but they're still getting like millions and millions of views. You don't think they're monetized and that they don't make money off of that?
I don't know. I feel like there'd be some conflict of interest, right? Where if they were trying to utilize government resources for profit,
Yeah.
then there would be a conflict of interest there.
Okay.
That's what my gut tells me. Now, I could be completely wrong. I don't know. YouTube is a weird entity, and how NASA being like one of the more public things, like NASA logos and everything else, that's all public domain, right? So it's not copyrighted.
Shit. Sorry.
Hi.
That was an Air Force recruiting commercial, by the way.
Nice. In the beginning of a NASA thing?
No. I switched because now I'm looking at the Air Force. You know, the Air Force official recruiting YouTube channel only has 170,000 subscribers, but they do have one video that's gotten 131 million views. So again, you kind of wonder, like,
I don't know.
yeah,
Somebody who's smarter on YouTube than us needs to give us some weigh in on that.
yeah.
They're getting a lot more fucking views than we are.
That is for damn sure.
That's true. If we could ride the coattails of fucking NASA, or launch a rocket or something,
So that's what we need to do. We need to launch a rocket and then
see. I seriously doubt it, because if you think about there's a lot of YouTubers that will stream NASA content while they're streaming.
right.
And give their commentary based on like NASA.
Right. And if NASA was monetized, they probably get pretty quick cease and desist.
Right. Because NASA's information, like all that stuff, is public domain. Like it's not.
Okay. I mean, and that's fine. Now let's think about Star Wars, because Star Wars has an official YouTube channel.
Right.
So let's just see. This is the we search YouTube. Okay, I thought they had an official channel.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I type in Star Wars and it is not the first thing that comes up. I see Robot Chicken. I see Star Wars Theory. I see What Culture, but no actual official Star Wars channel.
That's ludicrous.
I know.
Hang on. Let me. Like, it's in my subscriptions off to the side here.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta make this window bigger. That's so smooth.
My penis is so smooth.
All right. Well, there's Star Wars Kids.
Sorry to get us off on such a weird tangent, but
it is the Sidebar Cantina, so everyone else can suck it. So this is what's happening, kids.
yeah. What was the quote from the Family Guy Star Wars where he went to the recital, the niece's recital?
No, I have no idea, but what the thought that popped in my head is like, this is a Meg episode. Everyone, just hold on. Yeah, there's a Star Wars channel. It's right here in my subscriptions.
Okay, how many subscribers do they have?
4.05 million subscribers.
Okay, and I'm sure they have quite a few videos that are in the double-digit millions. So do they monetize on YouTube, or do they use it more as like an advertising type thing? This is the kind of shit that I wonder, But I don't know. We were talking about YouTube before the show, and this popped in my head.
Yeah, I don't know.
So we'll have to do some research. I'm
They
gonna
have
do
a
some
lot of
research
videos.
this week.
They have 1.8 thousand videos.
Yeah.
On here.
And I would imagine that most of those have views in the millions. So
let's see. Let's just look at an example. Well, the Bad Batch confined clip has 498,000 views.
That's the clip we looked at last week.
Right. The Bad Batch trailer has 2.6 million views. There's a Young Jedi one. It has 48,000. 71,000, 61,000, 206,000.
You'd think that they'd have more views than that.
I think people fucking. I think people don't go to StarWars.com to get their fucking these things that they're getting it from.
Yeah.
You demonstrated it, right? You put in Star Wars into YouTube, and that wasn't the first thing that came up.
Yeah, that's true.
It wasn't StarWars.com. It was going to be somebody else who's putting out the same content, and they're putting their spin on whatever it is. Like they're giving their reaction or whatever it is.
And obviously, like those channels, they all feed off of views and clicks, and they make all the clickbaity icons and all that stuff. So anyway, I don't know why I was thinking about that before the show. I didn't do a whole lot this week, so my week is pretty short because all I did was listen to this audiobook in most of my free time. And the other thing, so you mentioned the Young Jedi
yes
thing. So yeah, they have these Young Jedi adventures on Disney Plus, and obviously they're made for little kids. And I fired one up just out of morbid curiosity, and I'm like, okay, this is silly, but this is also something that I would love to, like, if I had like a 4-year-old grandchild, I could sit them on the couch, sit next to them, put it on, and we would both be entertained. And this would be the new avenue into Star Wars, because
you said morbid curiosity and 4-year-olds. I immediately felt like I had to get the baby killer in my hand for some reason.
Yeah, but no, and I'm sitting here thinking as I'm watching this clip of this show, I'm like, why the fuck don't I have grandchildren yet? God damn it! These are the kinds of things that are coming into my mind now. And you had mentioned something similar before the show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready.
Yeah,
I'm ready to entertain grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
I'm almost 50.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd like to.
That's the next phase, right? It's the next step of getting old.
Your
kids leave the nest. You get that for a few years, and then the grandkids start coming.
Yeah, like traveling, seeing, and honestly, like segueing into stuff with my grandparents' house, I think that has a lot to do with it too.
Oh,
to be honest.
Yeah.
Because my grandparents were such a huge part of my life.
Yeah. A lot of memories gathered at their house and everything.
Yeah, and they were my grandparents were. It was I don't know how to describe it except for like. It was just when you got there, it was just a place where you felt safe.
Yeah.
Right. And if you felt like all the other drama, shenanigans, and everything else that was going on, you were protected from. Like whether it was in your direct home life or school or anything else that was going on.
Yeah.
When you went to, when you're at Nana and Granddad's, it was like, okay, yeah, you were probably doing some menial task, but that's just what it was, and they made it that way. So it was, yeah. Kathy says loved, yeah. That's just what it was, and I think for me. Is I really want to be able to do that. I want to be able to provide that same that same environment, and not for the same reasons that I needed it.
Sure,
because I don't want anybody to have to go through the same things I did, but I want to have that, like, hey, come play with all our Legos and come for lunch and play with Legos and hit golf balls and do all that stuff. I'm looking looking forward to having that and doing that. That's just yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I know we've talked about it a lot, but I cannot wait to what's the word where you brainwash somebody into liking something? What's the fuck? Indoctrinate.
Yes.
Yes, I cannot wait to indoctrinate a new generation into Star Wars.
Hell yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
It's not going to be hard, honestly.
No, definitely not. There's no shortage of content.
Like
something will keep their attention.
Like, oh, do you want a toy to play with? Here, let me entice you.
Yeah.
Do you like things that make noise and that light up? Here you go. Oh,
Yep.
do you want more than one?
Oh,
I have that.
oh yeah. Oh, hang on.
Yeah,
Ooh.
we have. This is great for the listening audience. It doesn't...
That's some like Star Wars ASMR, right?
Just lightsabers clicking on and off.
Somebody's got to be into that.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm so sure. I mean, we are.
Yeah.
I mean, Christ, for the 45 minutes that we were sitting here, before we went on, we were just turning on and off lightsabers.
Yeah, and realizing we've got way too many lightsabers in this studio now. I'm counting at least 6, 7 over here on this side.
I've got four on this side.
Okay, and don't forget those 2 that have been hanging up there since God knows when.
Yeah, so that's 6 total over here.
Yeah.
And then there's probably some still in the container from the the
blow up ones.
well, yeah, the blow up ones.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. There's a lot of lightsabers, kids.
Yeah. But that's Star Wars Anus R. What the hell? Got caught up reading the chat.
AMSR.
Anus R. Gotcha.
ANSR, AMSR. Yeah, the blow up ones. Free ANSR, the blow up ones. Like you do.
Yeah, we're yeah. All right, should we just go ahead and like officially transition to your week?
Sure.
All right, let's do that.
So, already mentioned spend the time at my grandparents' house. Star Wars ANSR using it. Spending time at my grandparents' house, and we're getting things together and finding all kinds of amazing stuff. It literally, there's enough source material there to write the most intriguing story of two people's experience of World War II.
Yeah.
Like the amount of source material alone, and then open up a museum for all the artifacts that are there too. Letters between the two of them, pictures, postcards.
Like the one that really intrigued me was the Japanese postcard from when he was, part of the occupying force of Japan.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. It's just we have we could literally open a museum. There's so much stuff.
Yeah. With
uniforms and the boots and it's overwhelming, quite frankly, how much stuff there is. And yeah, it's overwhelming. But one of the things I found, and I thought was interesting, what do you think is the oldest book you've ever held in your life?
Oh God. Probably like 100-year-old Bible kind of thing.
Check this guy out.
What the hell? Dickens' Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Wow. Look, first of all, just look at this. Like you can tell this one is a little bit on the older side.
Yep.
Wow.
So Jason's looking at the copyright.
Yep. Copyright 1893 and then 1913.
Yeah. So 1913. So this book is 111 years old.
Wow. Like Bilbo Baggins.
Yeah. It's in remarkably good shape too.
Yeah,
For 111 years old.
Like I'm almost afraid to like flip through it too much. I don't want to damage it.
But yeah, this is a 111-year-old copy of Christmas Carol. It's shit like this that.
Did you find randomly in your grandparents' stuff?
Yeah, and my grandparents, they had, it's not just their stuff, but they had other family members when they were consolidating their estates. They had onboarded things like this is most likely was from my Aunt Alice's house.
Mm-hmm.
She had a library full of books, but it had been in my grandparents' house for I don't know, probably 15 years now. So yeah, stuff like that, like coming across like these books that are in great condition, and making sure that like some of these things, like, all right, this is going to stay within the lineage, right? Because how many 111-year-old books are you going to come across?
Not many.
Especially for like a story like A Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is going to be told so many times over the years. One of the other things we found was floppy disks.
Oh man.
So 3.5 inch floppy disks.
Oh, not the 5.
Well, those two, but those were just fucking like they're goners. That's
I don't know. You might still be able to buy like a reader
it's not worth it
to
Because-
read that like 2 megabytes or whatever that's on those things.
So there's a lot of my grandfather. He was always super into whatever digital technology was out, right? So digital cameras when it became a thing, and be able to put pictures on disc.
yeah.
If that option was there, he always took it. So he had all these floppies with pictures on it. So the floppies we've been getting, like we've been finding, we were like, okay, my aunt had said, she had given them to me and said, hey, do you think you could figure out how we can, try and salvage some of the stuff that's on these floppies?
Yeah.
So
It's pretty easy.
I don't have anything at home. So I ended
They
up,
sell like those USB
yep. So
drives though.
I bought one off of Amazon and it overnighted. Fucking Amazon, man. Fucking, hey, I want this. And then literally 11 hours later, it was on the doorstep.
Yeah.
Like, unbelievable. So, got it out, and it did not want to work with Windows 11. It was like, Windows 11 was like, A drive? The fuck? And then it's just like, it would start to look at it, and then it was like, it would give it up. So, ended up digging out an old Inspiron fucking laptop.
Yeah.
And I think it had Windows 7 on it. But it may have had Vista on it. Like, it is entirely possible it has Vista.
Yep.
But it fucking runs. And so I plugged in the portable to that, because even that didn't have an A drive. And it fucking worked like a champ. And I got through like 3 stacks about yay high of floppies and I put all those images onto a thumbstick or thumb drive, and then transferred them over to this computer and then put them on Google Drive.
Nice.
So that we have them. And
anything cool like come out of those?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pictures from birthdays, family pictures from family reunions.
Yeah.
I think some of them we may have like the actual photograph for.
Oh, okay.
Some of them are scans. My grandfather liked to scan. He had a flatbed scanner.
Yeah.
When they first came out.
So take like 20 minutes to scan one picture,
and it would come in as a bitmap.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I have bitmaps of family reunion pictures.
Yeah, we had the first time I had ever seen a scanner was in high school, because I was taking a programming class in high school, and we had these ancient fucking computers. We were learning how to program in QBasic, and they had a scanner that we could scan. And this is when I was like big into magic cards, so I actually like put a magic card on it and scan it, and it literally took like 5-10 minutes, and the whole time I was like
and you got something out of it that was, I mean, it was it was for the quality of the time, what we were expecting.
Mm-hmm.
It was perfectly fine. Now the scanners are pretty good.
Oh yeah.
They're not great, but what you're getting with like a flatbed scanner now, because I have a flatbed scanner that I got for these pictures. My cousin has she's in charge of the pictures, right?
Yeah.
For all the pictures in the house. And she's in charge of scanning all of them. And she got a scanner that can handle like slides and negatives and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So she's got one of those like multi-function scanners to handle all that.
Yeah.
And I just have a flatbed for handling certain ones. I picked it up for my dad's funeral because I pictures that I wanted to scan. And then, but a lot of times, like just getting it kind of light boxed in with my phone, it takes as good of a picture as the scanner.
Yeah.
Because it's just the way the technology is today. Like we're so fucking spoiled to be able to do that. Somebody's talking about Windows 3.11.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, dude! Windows 3.11, DOS 6.2, fucking Windows NT.
Mm-hmm.
My god, I could make that software sing like nobody's business, man. When I first got my A+, that shit was the tits.
Yeah.
And Windows 95 was just a glimmer in somebody's eye when I fucking started doing that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of like shit like that, there is a Tandy 1000 in the house.
At your grandparents' house?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Like an OG fucking Tandy machine.
That's probably something you could turn around and sell for
Yeah.
a pretty penny.
Probably. Yeah, it's crazy. And typewriters and like shit like that. It's just fucking bananas. But yeah, so floppy drives, working with floppies was just interesting.
Yeah.
And remarkably, you could fit a lot of shit on those floppies. Like some of the early Word documents that were on there were pretty substantial.
Yeah.
And you were fitting a lot of information on there. Like I was actually impressed with it some of the information that was getting squeezed in on there.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I have in the notes about these chess pieces, right? So I don't think I told the story about no, I definitely didn't. So one of the things I got from the kind of recovering was this chessboard. It's an older chessboard, not really, nothing super crazy about it, just this wood chessboard.
Okay.
Then there was this box that had pieces in it, these plastic pieces from the late 40s. And the box was missing 3 pieces.
No.
Yeah, a white pawn, a black pawn, and a white bishop.
Uh-huh.
And so these pieces were missing, and I looked for them, couldn't find them. Like, yeah, when you had generations of fucking kids playing,
Something was bound to get lost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what I ended up doing is I went on eBay and put the company's name in. The company was called Gallant Knight. And they were like solid hard plastic, like injection molded pieces.
Right.
Or I'm assuming injection mold. I don't know that for certain, but they're solid plastic, so they have weight to them. They're not hollow.
Sure.
And so I found some online on eBay, same company, and I was like, all right, sweet. They had a set. It doesn't come with a board like the box that we had. It didn't come with a board. It was just the pieces.
Okay.
So it was it sent me the bag with the pieces. It was like $30, and I got them, and they're like 75% bigger than the original ones. So I'm like, shit. So I can't take the pieces and like match them up for the ones that I'm missing.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, God damn, that sucks. So whatever. So I get to my grandparents' house this weekend, and we're banging around doing stuff, and I was taking a break, and call it cosmic karma, call it the hand of whoever, call it, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
Something in me just was like, you know what, just kind of go behind the bar. Like, the downstairs of my grandparents' house had a full bar and like a dining area all downstairs. And my grandfather's office was like just picture a big L shape, and then that side of the L had his office, his legal office, and then this side had a bar, like a bar.
Yeah, yeah.
And then there
he was
like
a lawyer,
dining,
right? He
yeah.
needed to.
So, and only like there were legitimately like rules to going behind the bar, and one of those rules was you had to be of a certain age, and you had to only the boys were allowed back there.
Okay.
Believe me, this was a thing for a while. That got relaxed as Granddad got older.
Sure, sure.
And the girls got a little bit more pushy about it. He's just been a misogynist. It's fine.
It was a different time.
It was a different time. So anyway, I just felt like going behind the bar. So I went back there, and it's all cleared out. There's nothing back there right now. But I just started kind of looking underneath the bar, and the bar has a footrest. So if you're sitting at the bar on the other side, there's this like out kind of like boop boop kind of place to put your feet, right? This like knockout bit. And so when you're on the other side of the bar, there's like space that's underneath there.
Okay.
And I was just happened to be like looking down, like, oh, look, there's stuff down there. There's like some mustard packets or, some trash. So I'm like, huh. So I just start looking around underneath there, and I see a fucking chess piece. Hello. You're welcome. Did you know that was coming?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
Kristen needed a bottle opened or a can
A
opened.
jar opened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some salsa. Yeah. So and I see a pawn.
Oh boy.
Right. I'm like, hey, look at that. And I went over, and sure shit, it was one of those pawns. So I'm like, what the fuck are the chances that, what are the chances that the other pieces are going to be on there? So I get down on my hands and knees, and I fucking start looking underneath there, and then basically right next to it is the fucking bishop.
Oh boy.
And I'm like, well, shit. And I a couple of seconds later, I find the black pawn.
Wow.
I'm like, what the fuck?
That's crazy.
So I found all three pieces now. So now the set's complete.
Yeah.
And it was just, it made me so happy. It just made me happy. And that set probably hasn't been anywhere near the spot where I found those pieces in decades.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Because we had moved the chess set to another spot over like on the other, it was not behind the bar anymore. It was over by like where we had some other games and stuff.
Yeah.
Like there was a couple of chessboards over there. So it had not been in there for a long time. And the fact that those pieces were there, and I just happened to go back there and just kind of look down and like on a whim just find them. It was just fucking crazy. So
that's great.
Yeah, I was so happy to fucking find those pieces. And it's those little things, right?
Yeah.
It's the little things that make you fucking that make you happy. But and you need that honestly when you're going through something like that, and you're when you have so many memories and all the other things you're going through with kind of closing out a loved one's house and like the finality of it.
Yeah.
It's going to be happening at some point. Having a good moment like that was kind of nice. So yeah. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm sure I'll have more stuff to show off.
Yeah, no, you've got me curious now. Because
there's all kinds of dude. There's all kinds of shit.
Wow, the Tandy thing like blows my mind.
Yeah.
And like, have you tried it to see if it still functions?
No, the cover's still on it.
Wow, that old school like tarp almost that would like fold over it and everything.
It's translucent now. At one point it was like relatively transparent.
Yeah,
it's been underneath the stairs. But
wow,
my hoarding tendencies came directly from my grandparents. They were experts.
Mm-hmm.
They were expert organizers too, because it's not like haphazard. Like everything, there was a place for everything, and everything was in its place. But there was a lot of it.
Right.
It's just very well organized.
That's good.
So, last bit, because we're already 45 minutes in. You know, we're getting to the hour mark where we stop our weeks.
Yeah.
So I'm working on something for Kathy, right? And it's like a video project. And I'm like, all right, I'll use iMovie, right?
Mm-hmm.
No reason to not use it.
Which I don't know if I've ever actually used that myself, but
let me rewind.
Okay.
I think I talked last week a little bit about trying to use iMovie to put together a video for building the birdhouse. Remember I had the little rant about the birdhouse?
Yes, you did mention that.
Right, and iMovie was being a real pain in my fucking dick.
Mm-hmm.
So I never did get iMovie to work on the fucking on that Mac.
Right.
And fuck you. Stonebleed says, "Do not immediately plug in the Tandy 1000. It has a RFI a capacitor in it on mains, and it will blow somewhere between 0 and 10 minutes later." That is good information. Thank you. I will not do that. Anyway, sorry, fuck iMovie or fuck Apple for not letting me, have backwards compatibility. Like, let me download the old version of this software so I can use it on an older piece of machinery.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Fast forward to the current project. I used to have a license for Camtasia, right?
Yeah.
And it was Camtasia of like version 3.
Oh, geez.
And
they're on like 9 or 10 now.
Or like 2020 or whatever the fuck they're calling it now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, well, I had a license for Camtasia 3, so at a minimum, I should be able to use that, right? Because I bought a license for it. So even if I get they don't have upgrades where we upgrade automatically to the latest operating system or the latest system. I get it.
Yeah.
Adobe's been running that model forever. But I was able to download the software for Camtasia 3. It won't accept the license that I had. Which, what the actual fuck? And it's not like I went into the account, and the way the account is set up, like it's very like it's a fucking shit show.
Yeah, this was probably the days before like everything got tied into like a central account. You'd use your email and you make an account with them, and then you would put the code into that.
Well, I think what happened was the Camtasia got bought out by somebody, and they merged account systems. So the account system where I would go in to manage like the machines that the licenses are on or whatever, it doesn't recognize that I had a license for. It doesn't recognize the older software.
Huh.
So I'm fucked. So it's like, all right, I'm so glad I paid for the fucking license for this old software that I can't fucking use.
Right.
Because, I mean, yeah, I could use it still on my Mac Mini from 2010, but I want to actually get a project done within the next 5 years.
Sure, yeah.
I love that Mac Mini. It's a great little machine.
You've had that since like we were first flying together,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it hums and it works, but don't expect it to do anything with anything modern.
Right.
It has very limited functionality. Regardless. So fast forward, I fucking can't do the fucking Camtasia thing. And apparently this video product has to be done in MP4. Has to be done in MP4.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Can't be in .mov. Because I can make iMovie work on my fucking iPad. But I'm like the iMovie on the iPad won't save in MP4. It'll only save in .mov.
Right.
So now I had to take said movie from .mov and then fucking send it to my fucking laptop. And then I just ended up saying, fuck it. I'm going to get, since I already have a subscription in Adobe, I might as well just add the fucking Premiere Pro to it. Because if I'm going to be doing more video stuff, I'll just fucking bite the bullet and just do it with the right fucking software as opposed to try and, do these end arounds. Because yes, there are cheap versions of software that are out there. There is definitely ways to do things that are like, oh, here's a free version of this, here's a free version of that. And
yeah.
But the reality is, just like with like Lightroom and Adobe Illustrator and shit like that, yes, there are other versions, and those versions, they work.
They
However,
have passable functionality,
but they don't work like the Adobe stuff does.
Right, like the premium stuff.
Yeah, the Adobe shit is the fucking industry standard.
Yeah.
So, but the bitch of it is, its functionality is similar to what I was used to with Camtasia, but not exact. So then now I'm like learning it again. It's like, God damn it.
Sounds frustrating.
I hate the editing process. I fucking hate the editing process. Like, I don't mind. I like the creating. I don't mind doing some basic editing, but like video editing makes me want to fucking just claw my own face off.
Yeah.
Because it's just so. Audio is way easier.
Oh yeah.
Audio is way easier. Like to make things marry up and like, it's just easier.
Yeah. Video is different when you got timing with like, especially when you're doing multiple videos in the same shot and just
It's an art. It's an art form. Vickers has it. You know, Helmet Fire, who's in the chat, he has an eye for it. I have an eye for stills. I have an eye for stills and a face for radio. That's what it comes down to, right? I'm not a video guy,
right.
I mean, I can do it. I can do pretty much anything, but I don't enjoy it like some people do.
Yeah.
So anyway, just the moral of the story is, rather than dicking around and spending hours trying to figure out how to not use Adobe, just fucking use Adobe. It has a 7-day free trial.
Now, is this video? We're talking video editing or
video? Yeah.
Okay.
The Premiere Pro. I think it does audio too.
Yeah. I mean,
Audacity works great for doing the audio for the pod.
Yeah.
Does exactly what we need it to do. And I wouldn't change that because it's a well-oiled machine at this point.
Yes.
So there's no point in changing it.
Yeah.
But for video, I think that's the functionality is unparalleled, honestly. Like the way it's laid out and everything, it's so much better. Even what we used to use OBS.
Oh yeah.
Remember we used to use OBS?
Because that's the free streaming platform, but it's a pain in the dick sometimes.
Yeah, OBS can be a pain in the ass, but I mean, for some shit, you needed OBS to make like an external camera work,
right?
As it was working, and it was great. StreamYard is,
Well, and I feel like StreamYard is like the next level of that, right?
Yeah,
because
we pay a little bit.
Yeah, for StreamYard, sure. But it's far better than OBS. Like, if I never have to deal with OBS again the rest of my life, I will be more than happy.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's it. That's it for my week.
All right, cool. Do you need a break or anything before we get to the main topic? All right, well then
this XL Wawa hasn't hit me yet, so it'll probably hit me later.
All right, so let's move on to the Dark Disciple novel. And actually, before we move on to that, Tevin asked a question in the chat earlier, I think, that if we are going to be touching any Legends books. And so we tried to do this the one time, the infamous Summer of Legends.
The Summer of Legends
that we tried to do before we got COVID, and then like everything got all fucked up.
Yeah.
But
do you think COVID fucked with our brains? Is that what happened?
it could have. Yeah.
Is that what pushed us into the fucking Gen X point of view?
It very well
seemed
could.
to make sense at the time.
Yeah. It's brilliant.
Yeah, this is absolutely the best idea we've ever had. Let's do it.
Yeah. And just jumped head first.
Just
Okay.
right into it.
So he was asking if we were ever going to touch Legend stuff. And at this point, like, I know that there is a ton of good shit out there, Legends wise, but I mean, I can't justify like reading a Legends book at this point. Anything that's not considered canon, I can't justify spending the time to get into a novel, even if it's good, because we have so much canon out there, and there's other stuff that we could be getting to, like the stuff that we talked about leading up to Phantom Menace, the Master and Apprentice, that new one that's coming out right before the Phantom Menace re-release.
Right. And then there's the Mace Windu one.
Yeah. So there's plenty out there, and there's other novels that are current canon that we still haven't gotten to yet for one reason or another. Just like Dark Disciple, this has been out since 2015, and we're just now talking about it. So yeah, unfortunately, I would not expect to see us do any non-canon novels on the show at this point. I don't know. I don't know if I'll have enough time.
All that rationale that you just mentioned, I agree with.
Yeah.
I think there's, from a novel standpoint, we have content that's coming out, and we have television content. You got to figure, we went for so long where all we had was Legends material.
Mm-hmm. And it was great at the time.
Oh man, it's so good.
Yeah.
The stuff was so good. Sidebar, Kathy was at Goodwill a couple weeks ago, and they must have just had a fresh load of
Oh yeah, ladies.
Books from a library or something, because they had a bunch of fucking Star Wars hardcovers.
Why the fuck didn't you tell me?
We had them.
Okay.
I knew we had them. Like, I recognized the titles. I'm
Okay.
like, okay, I know we have those already.
Yeah.
But I was just looking, I was like, man, or they were all Legends. It was all
Yeah.
Legends material. And I was like, man, these are some really good ones. And I enjoyed them thoroughly.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd love to reread them. You know, I'd love to go back, and because how many times have I reread Dune? I'll read Dune I'll read it at least twice this year.
Damn.
And that's usually, at least I'll read it twice a year.
Okay.
Just because it'll just fall into my rotation where, okay, I need something that is it's well grooved into my system, where I can either listen to it or read it and be on autopilot.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
I can enjoy it, and I can be
But
on
you don't
autopilot.
have to like pay full attention.
Right.
If you're, you know.
I can just enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's like watching Star Wars, you know? It's like, I know this story.
Right.
I know everything that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But-
You don't have to pay close attention to what's
Right.
going on screen.
So I can just kind of, it's meditative.
Yeah.
And Dune kind of is like that for me, and I've read it so many times.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll continue to do that. And there's books in Legends. What was good about Legends was the continuity of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you would read 22 books in a series,
Yeah.
and you'd have continuity across that series and then into the next
Yeah,
20
like-
book series.
Yeah, like in like the Vong series, for instance, they reference shit that happened in other book series long before that, because they kept that continuity, like you said.
Yeah.
And they had their Keepers of the Holocron at the time.
Yep. Character arcs that were happening, timelines for people living and dying and aging and everything else.
Yeah.
They had that level of continuity, which was made it so good.
Mm-hmm.
But there wasn't any one book that was like, this book I need to reread over and over again. There were some books that were just extraordinary,
Yeah.
but without the rest of the series, it wasn't the same. Now, the exceptions to that are like Bane, the Bane trilogy, is an exception to that.
Every time we say series, it activates Stonebleed Siri. So, hey Siri. Yep.
Yep. Yes, that's the world we live in. Our devices all listening to us.
But yeah, to kind of recap,
We should say, Alexa, play the Imperial March.
yes. But
Oh, I hope that works. I hope
Yeah.
that works in somebody's house.
ultimately, though, yeah, don't expect any Legends books. Maybe Orange and Fett can.
Republic Commando gets coughed, cough.
Yeah, I know.
You brought it up that it might be something. I remember you teased it.
Yeah, but I don't know. Until they say it's canon,
I did it.
then perfect. All right, so let's get into Dark Disciple. So
Yes.
the background of this was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. There was the Clone Wars TV series that was just chugging along. They were like 6 seasons in, right? Then all of a sudden, Big Papa Mickey Mouse comes in and buys the whole shebang. And I think they immediately canceled Clone Wars after the buyout. It was right around the same time. And
Sounds right. Could be completely wrong, but that sounds right.
but and I know the last season before they did the new season, final season of Clone Wars, was only like half a season. They had all kinds of stories already mapped out. They had screenplays for a lot of these stories, and one series that they had a screenplay for was this Dark Disciple arc between Quinlan Vos and Asajj Ventress. And I guess they had the scripts. They had how many episodes it was going to take, which, by the way, was a huge fucking list of episodes. So from Wikipedia, it comprised episodes titled Lethal Alliance, The Mission, Conspirators, Dark Disciple, Saving Voss Part 1, Saving Voss Part 2, Traitor, and The Path. 8 episodes this arc would have taken. And understandable.
I can see it.
Because there's a lot going on.
I can totally see it.
And yeah, so Clone Wars gets canceled. They start working on the new movies, and it kind of gets forgotten about until they tag Christy Golden to kind of flesh out the story in a novel and, get it out there for everybody to consume it, because, this was going to be canon before they canceled the show. So yeah, now we get this novel that's got this story. And again, the reason why we're doing this specifically now is because, spoiler alert, okay, Ventress dies in the book, which, a lot of people knew about. Like, I'd even known it long before I ever decided to read the book. I had heard about it, that she died in that. And now we see her in the Bad Batch. Season 3. So, and it's like, well, what the fuck? I thought she died and this takes place after. Now, after kind of going through the book, I can definitely see how it could, have left it open for her to somehow return.
Right.
Somehow Ventress returned.
Yes.
So,
But did she die?
yeah.
Like, for real, yo.
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, like I said, this was written by Christy Golden, who I thought she wrote so many more Star Wars novels until I looked at her Wikipedia page. So the only other thing that we've talked about that she's done is the Inferno Squad book from Battlefront 2, which I recall enjoying.
Yeah.
But then she also did 3 of the Fate of the Jedi books, which I didn't read any of those. So she did 3 Legends books, like we were talking about, and now 2 canon novels.
Yeah, and I read the Fate of the Jedi series.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That was a good series. Talking about a legend stuff, it was a good series.
Yeah, and she must just be busy with other stuff. I know she does all kinds of writing for other big franchises, so she might just be busy, but she's a good author, and I think she did a fine job with the material she was given. Funny, though, because as I'm going through this book, it really does feel like it's broken into episodes. Like you can, the pacing is,
Episodic.
yeah.
It's very episodic.
Yeah. So, but I didn't realize that it was like these episodes were already planned out before I read the book. But as I'm reading it, I'm like, man, this must have taken place over like 4 or 5 episodes, something like that. As I'm thinking to myself as I'm listening to this, but yeah, come to find out, it was 8.
Yeah, when I initially read it too, because I read it, a few years back.
Yeah.
Somebody has to listen to the tapes to tell me exactly when I read it, because I'm sure I mentioned it on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Because I bought the paperback. Actually, you know what? I bet you I can answer this question by
going into your Amazon history.
Yes. Yes. This is God. Sometimes the technology is just so fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, case in point.
A little scary almost.
Oh, it's very scary. I try not to think about it.
Right.
I mean, honestly. But I, like, right now, I'm going to look up this, go into my orders and look for this book, right? It's called Dark Disciple.
Yep.
Dark Disciple. Spell it right, Dave. There you go. Let's see. No, I looked in my orders. You son of a bitch.
While you're doing that, I'm just fingering RJ's butthole real quick.
There you go. Yeah, get in there real good. Oh, you have to put it in the right search bar. No, so like there is a no, yeah, I know. I bought it May 13th, 2017.
Okay.
And I probably read it as soon as I got it.
Yeah.
So it's been math.
2017 was 7 years ago.
7 years ago I read it.
Do you realize next year is going to be the 10-year anniversary of Force Awakens? Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Digest that a little bit. Yeah, we're going to start getting into 10-year anniversary sequences, because it's going to be Force Awakens, followed by Rogue One the next year, followed by fucking Last Jedi the next year, followed by Solo the next year, are all going to hit 10-year anniversaries.
I don't know what just happened. Something bad just happened.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So anyway.
Oh my God.
So before we get too far into this, I wanted to read the foreword that's in this.
Okay.
For a couple of reasons. First of all, the foreword was at the very back of the audiobook. Like, they didn't put it at the front of the book. It was the last thing after the story was done.
Why?
I have no idea. No clue. But, and again, so I'm not expecting this, right? So I finally get through the fucking book, and I'm like, okay, all right, it's over. And it's like, foreword. Star Wars was always looming large in my life. And I'm like, what? What is this? Who is this? And see, that's the thing, because it didn't say who it was by either. So I would actually, if you'll indulge me, I'd like to read this forward.
Yeah, go for it.
To get us started. So Star Wars has always loomed large in my life. I simply don't remember a time without it. We began filming the prequels when I was 8 years old and wrapped when I was 15. So first of all, I'm like, okay, who the fuck are you? What do you mean we started filming it? So carrying on, I spent a few adolescent summers as a PA on the sets of the prequels. And I'm like, you were a 12-year-old PA on the sequels? What the fuck is going on here? Watching and learning. I remember my baby brother training for days with Nick Gillard to execute an elaborate stunt as a fearless young Padawan. When he shot his scene, most of the actors came to him to cheer him on. Hayden and Nick were so proud of him. The cast and crew became an extended family of sorts, and was what Star Wars was built on. The collaboration and support of an entire community of passionate, talented people. Okay. When I was 17, I was honored to have the opportunity to join the very community when I wrote my first episode of the Clone Wars, Jedi Crash. If you remember, that Jedi Crash, I think, was in like the first season. So now all of a sudden, this kid who was on the set of the prequels and is now 17 and is writing fucking episodes of the Clone Wars, I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? The positive response of fans drove me to consider pursuing screenwriting in a more serious way. My run as a writer on Clone Wars ended up lasting almost 10 years. During that time, I had the pleasure of writing some of the show's most exciting, not to mention most morally bankrupt characters, Aurra Singh, Savage Opress, Darth Maul, and of course my favorite, Asajj Ventress. I've always been drawn to resilient female characters. If I die and never have to hear the fucking words strong female character again, I will just pass peacefully. I will become one with the Force.
Well, at least she wrote this in fucking 2015.
Right, but but look at where we are now. None of this has changed. Fucking women are at the front of every fucking show. It's like the fucking South Park thing. Put a diverse gay woman in it. Make her lame. You know, that's like the face of every fucking franchise, commercial, everything. But we still have to listen to this shit. It's like, well, Hollywood needs more strong female characters. No, they don't. No, they don't. They need strong male characters now. Fuck you. Sorry.
They need. What's the definition of equality? I mean, that's anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Just leave it at that. Let's just leave it at that.
All right. So I've always been drawn to resilient female characters, having grown up obsessively watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Okay. And Ventress was the punk warrior witch of my dreams. Her strength and vulnerability resonated profoundly with me. I was thrilled to be assigned the Dark Disciple episodes and had a hell of a time writing them. I was in the throes of a bad breakup, and writing for Ventress and Voss was incredibly cathartic for me. They had a pretty volatile relationship in this book.
Yeah, they did.
I was sad to see that Clone Wars was canceled before the episodes could air, but feel relieved that Ventress will be given her due in the publication of this novel. At its core, Dark Disciple is a story of redemption, a story of how people can be unbelievably broken and yet find a way to rebuild despite the odds. All of us are given chances time and time again to transform our lives, and it is our responsibility to seize the opportunities before they disappear. Working with the incredible writers of Clone Wars and the incomparable Dave Filoni will always be one of the highlights of my career. Clone Wars gave me the tools to move forward on my own path and, most important, gifted me with the chance to serve the Star Wars universe for a brief time. For as long as I live, I will never forget the times when my dad and I would sneak into the back of a darkened movie theater just as John Williams' unforgettable theme trumpeted from the speakers, holding hands while the crowd roared, raising their lightsabers into the air as the Star Wars logo flashed across the screen. I've never seen my dad happier. May the Force be with you all. Katie Lucas. So, yeah, she's the second daughter of George Lucas, like his middle kid. And, yeah, so that makes sense why she was on the set of the prequels.
Why she could write for it.
Yeah, why at 17 they're like, here, write an episode of this fucking kid show that we're doing.
Yeah.
And it seemed to work. Yeah. So,
and she wrote a fucking kick-ass character. I mean,
yeah.
Ventress did have all these strong female character bullshit notwithstanding. I mean, she was a fucking this character. There was no doubt as to her capabilities.
Right? Yeah, because we've known that since the very beginning of Clone Wars.
Yeah, she's just fucking.
She's pretty badass, and but she's got this difference about her than most villains, where she's got this kind of flirty side to her. Yeah, she's like fighting Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Yeah, the way the back and forth between her and Obi-Wan was always the fun part of watching it.
Well, yeah, and then, as the show progressed and the effects got better, too, she developed quite the ass, she was very curvy.
Ass like, pow! Titties like, blam!
Yeah, so, they made her quite curvy, and, they even mentioned in the book, too, how she was, like, very attractive and all this other stuff. Yeah. So, yeah, but these stories came from Lucas's daughter. Like, this whole arc, came from her, and it was adapted by Christy Golden for this novel.
Katie Lucas.
Yeah.
Why didn't they put that in the beginning of the fucking
audiobook? I have
no
idea.
This is why I don't listen to Star Wars audiobooks.
Well, and see, this is the thing, too, because that's right where I was going next, is the audiobook for this one. Again, read by Mark Thompson, a very extremely talented voice actor most of the time. It had all the production value, the fucking John Williams score, and, all the sound effects and everything. But because this book dealt with a lot of like emotional stuff, like Voss and Ventress's romance, and then him like turning to the dark side and being all angry, and then her dying at the end, Mark Thompson like really overacted in these parts, like really bad, to the point where it's like, can I just turn it off and read the book? Because like when he's fighting crying, it's like, oh, Ventress. And when he's like angry, he's like, oh, I'm so angry. And it's just so over the fucking top. I'm just like, dial it back there, fucking Jim Carrey.
Again, I won't do it.
Yeah.
I won't. I just. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I won't do it. Star Wars for me is going to be off the printed page.
Yeah.
Like nobody yet has convinced me that for Star Wars in particular that it's going to be better listened.
Yeah.
Just yeah.
It's tough. Well,
I'm sitting there and with that I'm that meme with the guy with the sign. Like, Star Wars is better. Star Wars books are better on the printed page. Prove me wrong.
yeah, no, and I'm sure you're right, but it sucks too because he hits some of these voices so well. Like he nailed Obi-Wan, nailed Yoda, did a pretty good Mace Windu. I think he did a great Ventress. His Voss was okay, but he's got talent. Like he has a really good knack for making his voice, sound like a passable version of these characters that we know and that you would recognize their voice. But God, he just, yeah, I couldn't get into the like the super emotional stuff. He just way overdid it. Besides that, I felt like the audiobook itself was, standard Star Wars fare, whether you like it or you don't. It's
Right.
You're getting mostly what you're used to if you've listened to a bunch of these like I have. But yeah, now the thing that I love about this book is it really shows, because we've mentioned this going on since the very start of the show, how the Jedi were flawed and their doctrine were not the greatest, and the no attachments and everything.
Right.
And it really shows how during the Clone Wars time, like everything was just unraveling for them. Like they just were not being themselves and they were just doing like irrational shit.
Right. I got an idea. Let's assassinate Dooku.
Yeah.
Like that's a terrible idea. Fuck, we got to do it.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Yeah, because it starts off where it's
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live.
where it's Dooku leading the Separatists and they like slaughter a whole fucking planet, right?
Right.
They don't bow down to the Separatists, so they're like, all right, well, we'll just fucking annihilate you then.
Right.
Which
It's just genocide. That is the answer.
yeah, apparently. So that happens, and then the council's like, yeah, fuck, this keeps happening, and somebody, I think it was like Obi-Wan or Mace Windu, kind of hinted at, well, why don't we just, if we could take out Dooku, then
There's one guy, right?
yeah. And well, so they think, and
Right.
that's again that shows their folly because losing Dooku would really not have changed
Right.
much at all.
It obviously didn't.
Yeah,
They had Dooku's head,
yeah,
literally. Like, hey, there's Dooku's head right
Yeah.
there,
But-
and
but
shit's
it's-
so
yeah.
bad.
It's like there's somebody else still leading the Separatists. I don't understand.
God damn it!
So, but yeah, and it just shows them unraveling because that's how the book starts. Is they're like, all right, well, we got to assassinate Dooku, and even though it's like some of them are like, do we really want to do this? Is this putting us down a bad path? And they're like, oh no, the means justify the end. We got to do it, and that's where they when they recruit Quinn Voss,
Mowids.
where they figure Voss is probably the best capable one of doing this because he does a lot of undercover shit, but he's still a pretty talented Jedi. He's a master, and yeah, so they basically say, hey, we need you to leave this current assignment that you're on. You're going to go find Asajj Ventress. You're gonna get her help without really her knowing what's going on, and then the two of you are gonna kill Dooku together. All right, now go.
Yeah.
And do it.
Everybody got that?
Yeah. But that's how it starts. And, already just a freaking insane idea. But, Voss takes him up on it and goes out and, that's what the first two episodes, I guess, would be, or the first one episode and a half would be him going out and actually trying to locate Ventress, which, then we start getting a who's who of bounty hunters because he comes across Bosk and Boba Fett,
Right.
who's like a teenager at this point. But he's still like wearing the armor and doing bounties because we
Right.
had seen in the Clone Wars series towards the end, we had seen this version of Boba Fett where he had already kind of got his little bounty hunter clan together, Bosk being one of them. So, and then they're still together. running jobs, and they had a falling out with Ventress, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so Voss figured like they were the first people to talk to find out if they knew where the hell Ventress was. Because she's doing bounties at this point, which I think they touched on in that last season of Clone Wars.
They did.
Where it was mostly Ahsoka, and she came across Ventress at one point.
Yeah, that's what she was doing.
Yeah, she was doing bounties.
Yes.
So, and yeah, she was doing that again in this. And so I know when the trailer for Bad Batch came out, and they were everybody was like overanalyzing the Ventress cameo because she had that kind of squared blonde hair, just like what Omega has.
Mm-hmm.
But they mentioned in this book that her hair had grown out and it was blonde.
And
so,
honestly, if you look at the cover art, it even shows like that haircut.
Oh yeah, it is right there. So those theories about maybe she's a clone because they got the same hair. No, she already had the hair back in 2015.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah. Nice try.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, like, if we want to go like beat by beat through this thing or how you want to do it, but ultimately, yeah, it's a story of Voss and Ventress trying to locate and assassinate Count Dooku, failing.
Right.
They find him, and obviously they fail. And this is early on too. This is like a third into the book, something like that, where you realize, it's not quite. It's so early in the book where you're like, yeah, this isn't gonna go well.
Yeah.
And
like it's like, oh, I got a lot of pages left. So this, this obviously is,
something tells me they're not gonna kill him right now.
Like, spoiler alert. This is, it can't happen this early.
Yeah. And of course, the whole time, like, Voss meets up with Ventress. They do a bunch of bounties together. They're just business partners at this point. No physicality to the relationship whatsoever. But there's obviously the flirting back and forth, and Ventress calling him idiot as his nickname.
Right.
But yeah, so feels like that's another like full episode where they're just going through bounties together, and he's just trying to gain her trust.
Right. And I agree with you. Like, that's one. It was like, okay, they built this as like an episode.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that was probably that. And then they eventually do, develop a relationship. I think they were fucking. They don't 100% say, but they kind of,
Well, you got to compromise Voss, and it gets to a point where, because when Mace is talking to, or I think it's Obi-Wan actually, when Obi-Wan's having a conversation with him, with Voss, you get the impression that Voss, like his chastity is like important to him. It's almost like, no, fucking, all this flirting and everything else is like, this is, I am clean. Like,
right.
It's the way it's written.
It's the meme with the preacher and he's praying and the girl's got her ass sticking out
right
in front of him.
Yeah. It's like the temptation is there, but like because I think the way they portray it, or she has it written, is that because he's doing these like kind of alternative missions that put him in these compromising positions, or he has to act like, hey, he's one of the guys, and he has to like flirt and kind of be that guy, but his Jedi like code that's going to prevent him from having like going the rest of the way.
The no attachments and all that.
That's that's his hard stop.
Yeah.
Until Ventress, like it gets to a point with Ventress where that kind of breaks a little bit.
Yeah, it breaks, and they they have a relationship and they kiss and all this other stuff, and then they decide they're gonna fight Dooku, and at this point, I think it was before they fought Dooku the first time,
let me see the book.
She let him know that she knew he was a Jedi all along,
right?
Even though he was trying to like keep it secret from her,
which even rereading it, I'm like, God, dude, there's no fucking way. at some point, like, oh, I'm gonna pull back from like this running and jumping and my abilities to do this.
Yeah.
Like, bro, come on, buddy, come on, buddy.
Right.
Everybody knew when you came through the goddamn door that you were a Jedi.
Yeah. And I mean, like, why try to keep that a secret, Like, hell, they might have had more success if the Jedi Council had just brought Ventress in herself and be like, hey, we want your help to kill fucking Dooku. We're going to give you one of our guys. You two go undercover and fucking make it happen. Because, yeah, there was no way he was going to be able to hide that. Especially from her, where later on we find out she's actually very, very good at reading somebody, even who's trying to,
right,
like
hide themselves in the Force.
Yes, exactly.
And that's what he allegedly, like, he was so good at. It was like being able to hide his Force presence.
Yes, which, I mean, it seems in the end, like after everything that happens, was valid, except he couldn't get past Ventress. Like, she saw through all that shit.
Right.
So, and that's relevant in the beginning when he's pretending to be a Jedi, and then later on, which we'll get to.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the exact spot.
For what?
Where they fucking...
Yeah.
I've been really trying, baby.
Yeah. So, obviously, they find Dooku, and they fail to kill him. He ends up in as a captive of Dooku. Voss does, while Ventress gets away. And, yeah, Dooku proceeds to, fucking torture him and pull him to the dark side eventually. It was a long and painful process, but he eventually did, while Ventress went and told fucking Kenobi, like, hey, your boy you sent to find me and kill Dooku? Well, he's gone now. Yeah. And he's not coming back.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. So, there's something right there. Anyway, I'm like looking at RJ, and I'm like, wait a minute, is that a thing that opens because it's got the little finger hole right there? Like, yep, sure enough.
Is there anything in there?
No, I think you can buy extras. Yeah, there's like attachments, but you got to buy the extras at the store.
Sons of bitches.
Yep. Anyway, so yeah, Voss ends up getting captured by Dooku, turned by Dooku, and they're now doing sieges across the galaxy in the Clone Wars, like under his name, which was fuck. Do you remember the nickname they gave him? That Dooku gave to Voss when he was like serving under him. He had like a name.
I don't.
Like Electric or something like that. But either way. So yeah, it was like becoming well known that Dooku had some new agent. He called him his assassin. Doing his work in the Clone Wars later on. And then, of course, it becomes like the Saving Voss, because, we've got Saving Voss Part 1 and Part 2
right
in these episode lists. Because, yeah, then it becomes Ventress, Obi-Wan, the other Jedi, Akar Deshu, they called Desh, who was like Voss's best friend.
Yeah, Desh, yeah. Which I had to like make sure that wasn't like... Wait, because Desh was in the very beginning with him.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, that's not Dak or Deck or whatever, the idiot that Obi-Wan meets in the goddamn restaurant.
Yeah. Oh, right, yeah. Dex was that
Dex,
guy's.
Yes.
Your favorite character.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was the guy who the council sent to go pull Voss out of his first undercover mission when he's doing like all of this like underground trading and stuff. So, but yeah, they go to rescue Voss. They get there, and as soon as they get to him and free him, Ventress is like, "Whoa, this motherfucker is like full on dark side." And they're like, "What are you talking about?" And Voss is just like there, just like hunched over, in pain from the torture and everything. And they're like, "No, it's our guy. He's good," And they get him out, and like Ventress is just. And this I found to be like the most intriguing part of the whole book, right? Was after they rescued him, Ventress is like, no, he is fucking darkside. It's like oozing from him. How can you not feel it or see it?
Right.
And, Obi-Wan and everybody else is like, I don't sense anything, So, and they let Voss back in. They debrief him.
Right.
And they kind of let him come back into the order and start doing missions again. And the whole time, Ventress is swearing up and down. She's like, "You fucking idiots! Can you not see this?"
Oh, sidebar. I found when they fucking
When they boinked.
when they hooked up.
Mm-hmm.
It's at page 156 of like 375.
Okay. So not quite halfway.
Yeah. Her face softened into a smile that had nothing of the darkness about it, an expression that Voss knew few had ever been permitted to glimpse. Together, she agreed, and kissed him. Yeah.
Yeah, little romance novel-y.
Yeah, and then like the next chapter, Voss was late again. Voss Kenobi was like constantly waiting for Voss and for these like appointments.
Mhm.
It was like,
Yeah, because
this motherfucker, like you could just Kenobi just every time was just irritated.
yeah, because the first couple times he would show and give Obi-Wan like debriefs as to how everything was progressing with Ventress and all of that.
Right.
And then he started not showing.
It seemed like micromanaging a little bit, right?
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
It's just some fucking, hey, look, Jedi Masters, knock it the fuck off.
Yeah, like you'll know when Dooku's dead.
Right.
It'll be pretty obvious.
Like,
so
can you not?
yeah,
Just for a minute?
this was your idea, motherfuckers.
Like, leave me alone. Send me a coded message if you really want my fucking help.
Yeah.
Oh, the kindred spirits thing is the fucking end of this. 360. So it's pretty much right in the middle of the book is when they basically Voss gives himself in.
Yeah.
And then
gives Ventress something.
Yeah. Hey. Because it's a little bit later from that, because after Ventress kills one of the informants, and it affects him, where he's like, "You shouldn't have done that."
Yeah.
Like she's like, "Well, we can't have stragglers."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Kind of like the whole Andor thing, right?
Right.
Where he killed that dude in the beginning.
Yeah. It's like, no, we have to do this if we're gonna, if you want to actually fucking do this thing, then this being had to be eliminated.
Yeah, because you're talking like your whole thing is you want to assassinate somebody in cold blood,
Right.
So
this had to happen.
Yeah, so
even
don't pussy out now when it comes to getting rid of some of these loose ends.
Right. So, yeah, it and I think right after that, like in the book, it says that it made him mad.
Yeah.
That he had to basically this is what it had come to.
Mm-hmm.
And then he uses that anger later, which makes him opened up.
Yeah.
So after he fucking slips Ventress, the fucking, the high hard one, then now all of a sudden things start falling apart for him. Like it seems like his Jedi armor is starting to open up, where like, okay, now he's going to use anger in his next fight.
Yeah.
And again, lead you to the dark side. This does.
Sidebar, do you think in the Star Wars universe, black men are hung like they are in this universe? Because, Voss was a black man, so he might have been packing some heat for that slender Asajj Ventress. Might have hurt her a little bit.
I had no idea Voss was a black guy.
Yeah, he's got the dreadlocks. They had the episodes of Clone Wars about him. I'm pretty sure his skin was black. Or brown or whatever.
I never.
Yeah.
Like I looked at the cover art. That's my that's my approximation of what that character looked like.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just
I
curious.
remember from the Clone Wars. Hey, I gotta pee.
Okay. So we're gonna take a break.
Yes.
Really quick, and then come back to more of the horny Dark Disciple
Pee I must
novel. So we're gonna pee and get your thing ready.
Oh yeah.
After this very quick word from our sponsors. All right, let's see. Is there any chats worth getting into here?
that spike doesn't go as high as you think it would.
No? Oh, that's too bad. Talk about the Tandy 1000. Mac Minis. Oh, you know what we can do while we're waiting? We can reactivate RJ94. He goes to sleep very quickly. All right, are you awake? Okay, now he is. Can you guys hear him pretty well? He'll take Dave's place. I love this thing so much. I don't know why. But anyway. All right, nothing else in the chat. Clip of which rant are we talking about? Sorry. Yeah, I've got too many lightsabers over here. Now, granted, one of these is Kristen's, but like I've got my 2 lightsabers now that I built at Galaxy's Edge. Uh-oh, that was my camera. Because a lightsaber fell on it. And that was my guitar. There we go. Good enough. So yeah, these are the 2 that I made myself at Galaxy's Edge. Oh yeah. Oops. This one is the one that Kristen bought me for Christmas. Not this last one, but the one before. This is the one that's got multiple blade colors, which is awesome. The thing that sucks about the video feed is you can't really see the different colors very well.
Yeah, because it kind of washes out.
Yeah. Oh, I love the feel of this one so much. That's what she said. There we go, the orange. Which, by the way, the fucking Balin and Shin Black Series figures, their lightsabers are red, not orange. I'm very upset about that.
Maybe they'll have to put out new ones to correct it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He loves it.
All right, we ready?
Yeah. Give us a countdown when you're ready. Oh. They want a recording of my strong female character rant. Well, maybe Luna Girl can clip that out for our TikTok channel.
There you go.
At some point.
That's
I'm sure it'll go well. I'm sure most of the patrons of TikTok would love to hear me rant about how stupid the term strong female character is now.
I mean, they'll do something.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Wow, he like really looks into your soul. If
Yeah.
you just like sit there and just look at him,
Yeah,
he's
he
like
does.
he's just looking at you.
It's really amazing how much the droid emotes.
Yeah. Anyway, and we're back. So,
Yes.
something that I glossed over when I was doing my little recap was after Ventress had, let him know that she knew he was a fucking Jedi. Like, yeah, I fucking knew. Come on, asshole. She decides to teach him the ways of the dark side, like you had talked about. She had opened up that door and took him to Dathomir. And we went through this very long sequence about how he had to wake this sleeper, this fucking being that was on. It reminded me of the thing from Mandalorian, the fucking underwater beast thing.
Right.
That
Like, go swim down into the depths.
Yeah. And,
Oh, it's really shallow right here. Ah!
yeah. So Yeah, it really made me think of that. But yeah, it was the sleeper that he had to wake up, to fully be powerful in the dark side, powerful enough to defeat Dooku. How does she know, right? How does she know that once he can wake this sleeper and tame it, then he'll be strong enough to fight Dooku?
She doesn't.
Right.
I mean, honestly, she doesn't. Because it seems like, the witches of Dathomir are more powerful than the brothers of Dathomir,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
In general.
Well, it's because and they kind of enslaved them too.
Right.
Yeah.
So the witches have that magic where, like, Maul's kind of may be the exception because he had an extraordinary master.
Yeah.
So he probably learned more in the dark side, but the rest of them, they're not the same.
Yeah.
Like they don't have the same level of connection and magic.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's an automatic inferiority, like not in the strong female character sense, but just in the sense of they have more capability in the Force.
Yeah, and she had the benefit of not only being a Night Sister and being part of the Night Sister cult, she was still trained by Dooku as well. So she was trained in, both the Sith and the Night Sister ways of the Force. So you would think that she'd be one of the most powerful Force users out there,
right,
based on all of that. And they kind of paint her as pretty damn strong.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think with Ventress's character, you get a lot of where her meter kind of is so in the middle, where here's her dark side tendencies, here's her light side tendencies. Like,
yeah,
yes, she can be just absolute fucking badass and take no prisoners type thing, but at the same time, like, she's more goal oriented towards the positive.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
she's independent.
Yeah.
Right. She's an independent. Like, she's not a lefty or a righty.
Sure.
She's independent, and that might affect her ability. Because she was trained as a Jedi at one point. Like,
that's right. Yeah, she was a Padawan.
Yeah, here's a Night Sister that was trained to be a Jedi, and now it was also trained in the dark side.
Yeah.
So where does that leave you in this quagmire of, like, how you use the Force?
Yeah, you're good at everything but a master of nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and yeah, it's really interesting too, because obviously we see her in canon after this. So where they take her from here is going to be interesting, because yeah, like, I completely forgot about the whole Padawan thing. So yeah, she learned both the Jedi ways, the Sith ways, and the fucking Night Sister ways.
Right.
So yeah, she is very well versed in the Force in all of its different aspects. But yeah, so like I was saying before, the most compelling part of this whole novel was this, like, last, like, fifth of the book where they get Voss back. Ventress is swearing up and down that he's fucking darkside. Everybody else is like, what the fuck are you talking about? And now they're starting
because they really don't trust her.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
which, I mean, makes sense. Even though they did give her a full pardon.
Right.
They offered her that as part of the whole thanks for saving Voss kind of thing. But yeah, nobody believed her when they, at least initially, when Voss was.
Stop staring at me.
All right, I'll make him stare at the people. How's that?
Go. Yes.
Fuck, what was I talking about?
The full pardon.
Yeah, the full pardon. And and we were going on missions after Voss came back, and they kept getting thwarted, right? So, come to find out, oh fuck, they knew we were coming and they set these bombs, or they knew we were coming and Dooku got the fuck out of Dodge. And then they finally started to realize, like, fuck, she might have been right.
Yeah, everything he goes on seems to not go well.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Hang on a second. But yeah, and this was another area where it again just shows, like, just how much the Jedi Council had lost their way, because they were talking about, well, once they get fucking Voss back, they're going to execute him, right? Because now they're setting up this final mission where they're going to go and try to kill Dooku again, but they're also going to be watching Voss. Because yeah, I think initially it was planned as Voss and Ventress go, but they always had the idea of Obi-Wan and Anakin and that other guy following them.
Right.
And yeah, so that was kind of like the final test. But all the while, the council realized, like, yeah, he's probably turned dark. She was probably right. So if we do catch him, we're gonna just fucking execute him.
Right.
Yeah, which again,
because that's what we do.
Right, because that's what the Jedi are known for, right?
There's no rehab program.
Yeah.
It's just like,
yeah.
And death.
Yeah.
Like this is the answer. Death.
Right.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Soak.
Yep.
Just fucking take them out.
Yeah, which is fucking crazy to think about.
Yeah. Look, the fact that she's there as this outsider that doesn't have the veil of the dark side completely blinding her.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Which, yeah, we know that's happening, at this time with the Jedi, because
right.
you've got, Palpatine fucking
right
doing all of his shit.
However it's happening, however he's making that happen.
Mm-hmm. Which we never have gotten an elaboration on that, but it's a story for another time.
You know what? I bet you it's like, okay, here are the seeds that are planted so far back that these seeds just grew into what they are. Yeah. Like he doesn't actively have to do anything. It's not like he's got this fucking, this thumper in the sand like in Dune, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't have to have this thing running all the time. He just planted these seeds that when it fully grew, so when his plan matured,
mm-hmm.
it already was doing what it needed to do.
That's an interesting point. And like we may get some of that in The Acolyte, which is being rumored to come out this summer, by the way. Nothing official yet, but they're saying it could be as early as this summer.
I will believe it when I see it.
Yeah. But yeah, so like you said, she could sense what, the others couldn't. They went on this mission, again, failed to kill Dooku, but it was also revealed that Voss was, bad guy this whole time. Like,
ha-ha!
And everybody's like, yeah, kind of saw that one coming.
All of a sudden, his lightsaber was like, oh, it's red. I can explain.
Right. Oh my God, that would be the most hilarious bit.
Wouldn't it be awesome if if legitimately this is how the Force works, like your lightsaber crystal, if you're dark side, it goes from whatever, it goes from green to red.
Right.
It's like you go get into a fight and all of a sudden your lightsaber is like, ah, shit. Damn it.
That would be so fucking hilarious. They got to do that. They got to make like a Star Wars comedy about that.
Like, no, I swear. It's like people turning into zombies. Like, no, I swear I'm not a zombie. Ah.
Yeah. It was just a soft bite. It was nothing.
Only a flesh wound.
Yeah.
Like Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
Like Shaun of the Dead with the fucking Jedi. Like, no, shit. Apparently I did get bit.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so they go through all of that, and before that, like Voss and fucking Ventress made up. Like she started to not sense the dark side in him right before they were going on this final mission, and then they kind of like rekindled, their relationship. and
RJ was upset about it.
He was. So she's with him, thinking now that everything's all cool in the gang. We're yeah.
And then we get a little something like
right. And
37. My girlfriend sucked 37 dicks
in a row.
You were just itching to use that today, weren't you?
It's been a light day on the soundboard.
Yeah.
This just in.
My penis is smooth.
So sidebar, we're at work, and do you remember for check rides, right? for the walk around. Do you remember how many static dischargers there were
11
total? How many were there were total?
Oh God, it's been a long time.
It's been a minute. Right?
I know you always knew that number.
Right. So it came up in conversation because I've been kind of these guys that are flying this new airplane. They don't get taught shit about systems. They don't know any of the RF that's happening in the jet. They don't know, they literally don't know shit.
All they know is fucking controlling the fucking.
Yeah, make cows get big, cows get small. Push this button to make the radio work, and that's it. They don't have any fucking systems knowledge whatsoever. And it's not necessarily their fault. They're not getting taught it.
Right.
Like Boeing is doing a piss poor job. That among other things. So it had come up, and I asked the question. I was like, "Does your airplane even have them?"
Mm-hmm.
And they were able to answer yes. It's like, well, how many are there? And they came up with an answer. I'm like, "Are you sure?" And they're
the old evaluator. Are you sure?
And they're like, I'm like, well, all right. Well, where would you find that answer?
Mm-hmm.
So then I had them digging around for it, and when we finally found it, and the answer was
37. My girlfriend sucked 37 dicks.
In a row?
Yes.
And it was like, oh, this is fucking awesome. I will never, ever forget this number now. And neither would anybody else who I was ever instructing because of that.
Because there are 37 static dischargers on the KC-146 or KC-46.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was fucking brilliant.
Love it.
Sorry.
Absolutely love it.
Anyway, back to you.
Okay. So yeah, we get towards the end. Like, Voss keeps telling Ventress, like, you gotta wait a little longer. I'm still working on Dooku. And she's like, what the fuck, man? Are we doing this or not? Because
33.
What?
I think it's the number on our jet. 33.
Oh, I don't remember. But yeah, Voss was trying to this whole time meet Sidious, Darth Sidious, who he knew was Dooku's master, and he knew was like the Sith Lord that was, running everything essentially.
Right.
And he claimed later that he was trying to get to them both to kill them both Dooku and Sidious,
right.
Which is like
he was playing the long game.
Yes, which okay, I understand that, but you really thought you could do that alone?
Well, all right. Let's play devil's advocate here.
Okay.
His job for the Jedi Council had been infiltration.
Yeah.
Like, this is what they've been having him do for however long.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea that he was, he was this insider, right? He's the, he's the guy that's working in a narcotics unit that's fucking infiltrating this drug ring.
Yeah.
And he's trying to get to the big guy and doesn't realize how fucking deep a shit he's in.
Right.
And how corrupted he's gotten until the very end. I mean, this has a very, it has this kind of story element to it.
Yeah.
Because, hey, yes, by having to act corrupted, you became corrupted, right? And then, in order to get deep enough, you had to you absolutely had to corrupt yourself to get deep enough to get to the guy that you wanted to get.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, when you're right in sight of it, guess what? Wah, wah.
Yep.
You don't make it.
Yeah. And essentially that's what happened. He got to Dooku. He almost got his meeting with Sidious, but they got cut off by the Republic forces. And like once they were at Dooku's and Voss and Ventress were there, Dooku fucking went to go shoot Voss with the Force lightning. Ventress moved him out of the way, I guess, and took the whole brunt of the fucking Dooku's Force lightning, and that's essentially what killed her.
Killed, air quote.
Yes.
Killed.
Yeah, and then there's this whole, again, the audiobook was terrible as he's holding Ventress, as she's dying. He's like, yeah! It wasn't even that. It wasn't even that. It was like a pathetic sobbing, just oh, Ventress, I love you so much.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was insufferable.
You hit the 10-second forward
Mm-hmm.
button. Like that's what I would have done.
Oh yeah.
Like our advanced 10 seconds. It's like,
But yeah, so something interesting that happened like after this, they capture Voss, and he keeps asking about Ventress. And they're like, no, as soon as she passed, we put her body in stasis. So her corpse is in stasis. So that immediately got me thinking about like, okay, how did she survive this, right?
Right.
So she gets, force fucking lightning into hell, dies, and then is immediately put into some sort of like, I don't know, cryo freeze or something, whatever stasis means for this galaxy, or is it just like a back to bath? And kind of the final scene of this whole book is him returning her body to Dathomir, right? Because she, they had this strong tie with the Dathomir sisters and everything, and he put her in that pool where that fucking sleeper was, and when he put her in, like he could hear like the whispers of the sisters, and like the water started to glow for a second as like he put her body in there, and that was kind of it. And really, again, the whole reason why we wanted to do this was to, get spun back up on the Ventress death and see where they could possibly bring her back. Because ever since that trailer dropped, the fans are like, what the fuck? We know what happened to her. And Filoni and everybody else over at Lucasfilm are like, calm down. We know. We've got it all figured out. So we're not going to do anything to disrupt what happened in Dark Disciple. So that being said, I think they've left a couple of openings, based on the end of this. I mean, the easiest out is Night Sister magic, right?
right.
Like they put her in the fucking pool. She hasn't been dead long enough to like start decomposing, and they're like, fuck it, you're alive again.
Yeah. She is a Night Sister, and he took her back to Dathomir where they have abilities to be able to do things.
Yeah.
So 100%. Like the whole bit was stasis and everything else. They didn't just like burn her corpse like they would a normal Jedi. Like, okay, we're just burning you and committing your body to the Force.
Yeah.
Or put her in stasis.
Or just put her in one of those fucking zip bags and then just throw her in like a fucking piece of airline luggage
right
into the cargo hold.
Like here's your... Yeah, no, nothing like that.
Yeah.
Or maybe they did. Maybe that's how he got her into Dathomir. It's like, all right, I got to take her and coach. So, like, man, this feels like a body. Dude, I can't tell you how many times that we've had luggage. It was just like, what the fuck do they have in here? Like, it definitely hasn't been bodies for real. Because we've had human remains, and it's a whole nother thing. But
you did?
Oh yeah,
when you were loading for American?
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah, it was a whole thing.
Did you know it was remain?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Like
it was a whole thing. Like so a lot of it was because we had the contract to load the Air Jamaica flights. So people would be like flying their deceased back to Jamaica for like funerals and stuff.
Okay.
So they had an A300 that they flew, and we'd be loading up the furthest aft cargo because they had the two main cargo areas were can loaded.
Yeah.
And then the aft cargo was bulk loaded. So that's where usually it would be like pets and just like oversized bags that weren't going to fit into the cans.
Yeah.
But if there were HRs, that's where it would go. They would go in the back there.
Okay.
So, and there would be a whole thing. Like, it's not in the prettiest, it's not like the casket, it's a box. But yeah, we had a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
That'll be
frequently enough where it wasn't, it was one of those things where you saw it and it's like, fuck, because it's probably going to make you late because you can't, like, once it gets out there, you can't be loading other stuff. Right, because the belt loader's tied up, and then you got to take care of that before you load other stuff. Well, you got to make sure. But yeah, the whole time I was there, we never had military human remains. It was always just
Civilians.
Civilians that had to get from one place to another.
Yeah.
And they put them in a cargo hold on an airplane.
I'm sure it happens. I mean,
Yeah.
millions of people die every day. So
Yeah, you would not believe the shit. Like when you're on a commercial airplane, the stuff that's going back and forth, like you don't really think about. A lot of mail goes on those commercial flights.
I believe that, yeah.
Because there's contract carriers. Americans had that contract before. I know they did back in the day. Mail. So here's something funny. Like back in the day, if you didn't get your mail for some reason, right? Because mail's pretty spot on these days.
Yeah.
Right. You send something out, it's most likely to get in there. But back in the day, when stuff used to be delayed, we'd have these baggage trolleys, right? That when you'd see, if you've ever been on an airplane and you see them loading your bags and you see them pulling them out of these baggage carts, we'd have those with mail in it.
Yeah.
And the mail would go, okay, if we have the space, the mail is going to go in this particular flight. A lot of times it was like MD-80s and shit like that. Or the Super 80, the American called it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're squeezing mail into these flights. Well, sometimes the mail didn't get on that flight. It sat in that baggage cart, and that baggage cart would sit at the gate.
Oh, shit.
And then it's like, oh, well, we need baggage carts, or some guy would be like, okay, you need to go collect the baggage carts that are around.
Mm-hmm.
And you go collect it. Like, picture the kid collecting the grocery carts, right?
Yeah.
Fucking same shit. And he'd be dragging them into the bag room. Now all of a sudden there's mail in the bag room that's not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And they need that cart. So they take the mail out of the bag room. They put it down on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Then now that mail's sitting there for an indeterminate amount of time.
Until somebody's like, what the fuck is this?
Hey, this mail needs to get out of here. So then they take it out to the fucking plane, finally get it on the airplane. By now, it's like it could be weeks before that mail gets out there. Or it falls out of the baggage cart because it wasn't closed properly. And so there's just this sack of mail out in the middle of the ramp. Right?
And that really happened?
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Dude, all the fucking time. You would not believe the shit that happens on the fucking ramp of an airport. I was an 18-year-old kid pushing out airplanes.
Yeah.
Like I was sitting literally in the tractor that was pushing airplanes out from spots in the terminal where I had to make turns. Like I'm turning like this, bringing the airplane back this way, cutting it this way again, and turning it again to get it into the lane to then push it all the way out so it get into the fucking taxiway.
Wow.
Like 18 years old doing this shit. And it was fucking bonkers. The level of responsibility you have.
Again, this is pre 9/11 times. You know, it was the Wild West back then.
Well, it's the same. It's the same way. That's how airplanes fucking. That's how you get off the gate. I mean,
well, yeah, no, I understand that. That's that, but just like I don't know, just like 18-year-old kid off the streets, you know, doing that, and
what's funny is because my dad worked for customs. Like I had access to the bonded area that a lot of guys didn't. So that means that Dave got to do like, oh, here's this international flight. Dave gets to do the bag room for the international flight because I had the badge for the bonded area.
Yeah.
So I got saddled with that a bunch of times. But that also means that's how I got to, you know, do the presidential flights too.
Yeah.
Because I had that again as an 19-year-old kid.
That's fucking crazy.
So, dude, best job for a fucking 18-year-old kid you can ever imagine. Right? Yeah. Flight benefits and fucking working at the airport. You're doing, it's physical labor. It's hard fucking work. And especially when the weather is dog shit.
Ooh, yeah.
And it can be shitty if you're, you know, running a SWAT truck, because that was part of my job. I got to fucking do the SWAT truck. And I watched a dude get fucking dumped on. So 747 is a pretty big airplane, right? You had the SWAT truck would have a lift on the back of it so that you could get to the fucking the lav dump.
Because it was that high up?
Yeah, on the back of the 747 or the back of anything, really. Because we at the time, like this is the 90s, this is the mid 90s, right? So we still had L1011s and DC10s and shit that were still coming back and forth. Shit, I pushed out the Concorde, which was fucking awesome, by the way. I pushed out a fucking Antonov, an AN 224, right? The big C5 ski.
Oh, that one.
Yeah. I pushed that out. I pushed that back, and it was loaded up with fucking satellite equipment. And that motherfucker was so heavy. I had our biggest tug, and it was barely moving.
Holy shit.
Like to get this airplane out. And it literally like their V1 cut was like over the numbers on the opposite end of the runway. Like and I thought it was going to crash into the Commodore Barry Bridge when it fucking took off, man. Dude, that whole thing was insane. Those guys lived on the airplane.
Did they?
So like, C5, they have the compartment upstairs where the passengers would sit, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the Antonov, that's all where those guys live. They had their fucking clothes strung up there, like all the maintenance guys and everything. And it was like just Spartan living.
Wow.
But that's how they traveled.
Interesting.
And it was like a mercenary crew almost. And yeah, they get shit loaded up and they were a contract crew and they fucking would taxi that beast off. And but it was so, God, dude, it was so fucking heavy. Like just trying to get the tug to fucking get this thing moving. It was just unbelievable.
Crazy.
But anyway.
So you were saying about the 747 Lav?
Oh, yeah. So this dude is up and this, like, the rules, OSHA rules, yeah, you had to wear certain protective gear, right? But the reality of working at the airport, speed is everything, right? So the precautionary stuff that the Air Force does when they do everything, you couldn't do any of that shit in real life.
Yeah.
Like when you're working in an airport where speed is money, you're not doing any of that shit.
Right.
So you get back there, you're fucking up in the scissor lift with the 747. The wind is blowing you like this, so you're trying to fucking grab on this shit as it's fucking going, and you're connecting up the fucking the blue juice.
Yep.
To fucking be able to go do the rinse, and then you have to get this big coupling. It's about like this. You've never done it before, have you?
No, thank God.
So there's a coupling like this, and you have to open up one thing, which probably is frozen because if they just landed, it has a leak at all. That blue ice freezes around the coupling.
Yeah.
So you have to release the door, and then get the coupling from the SWAT truck onto that, and then lock it.
Yeah.
And if you're moving around, or if you're kind of short and you don't feel it get a good tight seal, you're in trouble.
You're gonna have a bad day.
You're gonna have a bad day. And we watched this dude have a bad day.
Oh no.
He'd been working there for God knows how long. He was an older black guy, like gray hair, just like he'd been doing this. He'd been working the ramp for fucking years.
Yeah.
And he was out there doing this shitty job, literally. And he got the thing on there, and we were standing. I was at another gate. I was like the next gate over. Like this, I remember clear as fucking day. He was on A6, and he gets this thing on there. And what you would do is you pull this handle down, and when you pull the handle down, it opens the valve that lets the shit come down into the fucking thing.
Yeah.
So as soon as he pulled that, and the weight of the shit water hit the coupling, and it wasn't sealed, so it immediately fell off, and all the shit was coming down right onto his fucking chest. Just
oh God.
It was, and he was like frozen. He couldn't move. He just was like, and there's multiple labs. You have multiple tanks, right? So thankfully it wasn't like the entirety of the thing.
Yeah.
Right. So he, you get up and you try and fucking close the thing, right? Which eventually he did, but at the point it was too late. And he fucking closed it, fucking pushed the button down, scissor lift came down, he came walking in, and he fucking, I don't know how he got, like, we didn't have showers and shit in our fucking locker area.
Just gotta like find the closest water hose.
Yeah, it was not good. And when you see that, you hear about it happening, and it's like, that'll never happen to me.
Right.
And then when you see it happen, you're like, holy shit. it was fucking awful. And the worst case scenario, because you can't get away.
Yeah.
You're as high as the scissor lift is going to go, on a 747, and it's blowing in the wind, and you can't do anything to stop it. It's quite frankly shitty.
Wow. Yeah. So to wrap.
Oh, dude, I could do an entire podcast just on what it was like working at the airport in the fucking 90s.
Oh, I believe it.
Like the stories. You want to talk about vibrators in people's bags?
Nice.
We could talk about when LL came in and dealing with security for LL. All the Air Jamaica nonsense. I saw some shit, and like I said, great job for a fucking 18, 19-year-old kid. It's just, I loved airplanes then. I fucking, as much as I love them now, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
I was that nerd that could fucking, I'd sit there at night. I'd work there all day. Like I legitimately, I'd get there in the morning and I'd work my shift, and then I'd set up the bag room for the afternoon, then work through the afternoon.
Damn.
And then go home at night, wake up and come back and do it again.
Wow.
And sometimes I'd just stay through the night. Like if my dad was working the overtime desk or something in the airport, I just fucking would go in there.
Jeez.
Just hang out. And you'd set up the bag room, and the airport's so fucking, when there's no planes flying except for like UPS coming in, and you're just could park a truck somewhere and just like you could sleep in a truck somewhere and just watch UPS flights come in, and I could tell you from the landing lights what kind of airplane was landing. Like legitimately, like
wow.
that's how big of an airplane nerd I am. But yeah, like if there's a stomach for that, like the problem with doing an episode like that is like if Jason doesn't have the same basis of experience,
right? Which I don't.
So I don't know what Jason would do during that episode besides fucking look on Facebook Marketplace for Black Series figures. But yeah, dude, I definitely I have a lot of airport stories.
Yeah.
I
mean,
tell.
you've told a lot of them on the show before, but
yeah, it was great. It was a good time.
Yeah. So yeah, to wrap up the Dark Disciple book.
Yes.
The
Dark Disciple.
The whole reason why we picked it was, again, the Ventress thing. It seems pretty clear to me that they left the door open for her return at the end of this, and they may have done the same thing if they had made the shows too, because I think Ventress was a popular enough character where they didn't want to kill her off, but this was just like a good way to like end her character arc in case they decided not to bring her back.
Yeah, sacrificed herself, fake her own death so she can go do whatever.
Yeah.
Do whatever, like disappear and show up on the other side of the fucking galaxy, and go back to bountying or
which is what it seems like she's doing in Bad Batch.
Right.
So, and I'm sure we'll get some kind of explanation. What's interesting though is the fact that Voss is still alive also, because in Obi-Wan they acknowledged that he was helping with that like Jedi Underground Railroad that they had going on. Mm-hmm. So at least in the time of the Obi-Wan show, Quinlan Voss was still alive. So, if they ever choose to bring these two back together again, we know that they're both still alive.
37. My girlfriend sucked 37 dicks. In a row?
Unless they kill her off in Bad Batch Season 3.
Everyone dies.
Yeah.
I don't know about Ventress, but everyone will die.
Yep.
As the
board bet, yes. So that's it. Like, as far as the book goes, it was decent. Like, I didn't dislike it. It definitely had that episodic feel to it. It felt like the pacing was a little off at times. But, I mean, it's a good Star Wars story. Nothing, I would not have anything.
Look.
Oh, look at that. He's got the money. Only money.
There you go. There it is.
Yeah, I'd recommend it. But at the same time, like, if she's not still dead, like if this new Ventress isn't like a clone or something, then it's kind of like, what's the point of the book, right? Because it ultimately ends up being a story that changes nothing.
Yeah, but it's still, I think it's a good story.
Yeah.
I think if you're looking to read something that's just a good story, I mean, it's you have the aspect that the Katie Lucas element that's in it.
Yeah.
You know,
The tie to George, so.
yeah, her writing this character and it being adapted for these books, I think that's pretty cool. I think the story is good. It's well written. It's character development for Ventress that we probably don't have otherwise, and it deepens the. We know the fucking Jedi are fucked up, right? We know this already.
Yeah.
But it goes deeper into that. It gives you this, like, they're talking about assassinations. They're talking about killing other Jedi.
Yeah, executions.
Like, there's no rehabilitation, which is funny. Like, thinking about it, we talk about Legends books. You had fallen Jedi in the Legends books that were rehabilitated.
Yeah.
You know, they went through the whole thing to rehabilitate these Jedi.
Yep.
And that was certainly part of the story, and some of the core group of the Jedi that were surviving were rehabilitated.
Yeah.
And this, not during this period in time.
Nope.
It's like, no, he's fucked. Kill him.
Murder.
Yes. Murder.
So that's that. And again, once Bad Batch comes out, maybe we'll have a little bit more story that we can kind of add on to this as it comes and be like, oh, okay, this relates back to what we saw in Dark Disciple, blah, 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 blah. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But I would imagine we have no final reads or anything, again, because Luna Girl is busy with her family.
Nope. I would say that what we can do is we can talk about finding us, though.
Oh, yes.
At bio.links/the Sidebar Cantina. What happened? What just happened?
I don't know. What did you do?
I don't know. What did I do? Oh, there it is. You can find us at bio.links/the Sidebar Cantina, where you'll find our links to Patreon, YouTube, our audio podcasts on Apple, Audible, and Spotify. And all social media platforms, including X, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, TikTok, and Discord. Once you get to the bio link, simply click the symbols under our pick to go to your platform of choice. You can also find all of our past Spotify mixtape playlists. Also in our bio link is our TeePublic merch shop. Choose from 7 designs on everything from t-shirts, Jason fingering
I'm fingering his butthole.
fingering RJ's butthole, to tote bags, phone cases, exclusive stickers and pins.
Can never find the hole.
There's
My feet is so smooth.
just about anything you can imagine. Nothing that says loving like a naked Jason chick on a pillow, fingering his RJ.
94.
Go to buy.links/the Sidebar Cantina and click merch. I don't believe we have any reviews.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm sad about that too. You know what though? What's our topic for next week?
Bad Batch.
It's Bad Batch.
First 3 episodes. Comes out in 2 days.
So we got Bad Batch next week, and you know, maybe Hennifer will make an appearance next week.
Yeah, and then we got Dune right after that, right?
Fucking dude, I can't fucking wait.
Yeah, because next week the 26th, and then our Dune tickets are on the 1st. So that's probably going to be our topic for March 4th.
My feet is so
Is Dune
smooth.
Part 2.
That's what I meant to hit. Write us a review, and you will do it. And if you write us a review, and then I'll have Hennifer say it.
All right.
That's what'll happen.
All right, sounds good.
So for next week.
And
So-
we've only done 1 Masters of the Air so far. We are going to still do more
Yes,
as we can fit it into the
yes,
schedule.
we are. I know for me, I'm taking it like 2 episodes at a time, so I'm like skipping a week and then doing like a couple hours of it.
Sure.
It's we talked about it on the episode we did, but there's definitely elements of like Jesus, as former enlisted aviators, thinking about what these guys are going through, like the radio operators, and especially these motherfuckers, the airplanes they're jumping out of they're jumping out of airplanes before jumping out of airplanes was like the thing yet. Like parachutes and all this other shit. They were just like, fuck it.
Winging it.
Here we go.
We're doing it live.
Bail out.
We'll do it live. Fuck it.
Yeah, and just what had to go through their heads. And ironically, like I mentioned it before, and I'm sure I'll mention it again. Like, you know, my one grandfather who's in the 8th Air Force was just reading something in one of our family history things that he flew over 35 missions. Like, I thought it was in the 20s. Apparently, he flew over 35 missions as a waist gunner.
Yeah.
Fuck. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Over 35 times going through fucking flak fields and fighters and flak fields again.
Watching all your other guys getting shot down and
going back to the tent where dudes that were sleeping there that night aren't there. Then new dudes come in.
Yeah.
And then you come back and those dudes are gone.
Yeah.
Just this rotation of people, and what, you know, just to put it out there for people that are watching it now that we'll catch up to when we do the, you know, more of the Masters of the Air episodes. Remember the takeaway for this. They're describing the loss, but I want you to, it's an order of magnitude worse than they're describing.
Yeah.
Like, the book puts it in a little bit more perspective, but it's an order of magnitude worse than what you're seeing, if you can imagine. So, yeah, and shout out to Bronco Fett's fundraiser for Stop Soldier Suicide.
Yeah. Great cause.
Yes.
Very good cause.
Absolutely. And that's it. I won't.
RJ's very excited about it too.
He is. Yes. Post links so that we can repost and do things.
All right.
That's it.
So, all right. Well, that's the show, guys. Thank you for watching this whole time. Thank you to all of our audio listeners for listening.
Yes. Thank you to our Patreon supporters.
Yes. Always. And again, next week, Bad Batch, first 3 episodes.
That's right.
So we will see you then. Until then, Dave and everybody else, may the force be with you.
May the force be with you. Okay, now what do I click?
Very good. Oh, I apologize in advance. Actually, you know what? No, I don't apologize. I apologize for nothing. I'm about to eat a brownie right in
Oh,
front of
you
you.
fuck.
Yep.
You fucking fuck.
It's your own fault for going gluten-free, or you could have had half of this. I want half, Eddie. Eddie.
Half!
Oh, it's good stuff. I'm going to show these guys. Yeah, those are chocolate chips.
What a dick.
Layer of frosting, layer of brownie. It's from the Kibitz Room, a Jewish deli up the road.
Oh,
They
yeah?
have got the best fucking breakfast sandwiches. It's a plain bagel with pastrami, cheese, egg, some other kind of meat. And it's fucking incredible.
My penis so smooth.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah. Think like the best breakfast sandwich you've ever had and then add pastrami. Because why not?
Yeah, because reasons. Where's mine? There it is. It's there. Down a Fraggle Rock. You know, that candle's been lit the whole time.
Should probably blow that out before I leave then.
Yeah.
I just had a bacon squash croissant. Bacon squash croissant.
Like it's a croissant made out of squash? Or there's squash inside the croissant?
Well, so the way it's spelled is bacon, comma, squash, comma, croissant.
Oh,
So
it's-
good.
I'm not a huge fan of squash.
Yeah.
Fuck you and that brownie. God damn it. What a dick.
Well, think about it from my perspective. I've been waiting to eat this since this morning because Christian got us the breakfast sandwiches from this place this morning and then got me the brownie also. So I've had to wait this whole time to eat it. So have a little sympathy.
You know what? You're right. You're right. I should have more sympathy for him.
Ugh, I don't want to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah, neither do I.
Wait a minute. Oh, no. Never mind. They weren't off at my work today. I just always have Mondays off.
Yeah, I didn't think this was one of your holidays.
Sometimes. Yeah, because my place of business doesn't recognize every federal holiday. But when they do, I don't have to work that Friday. So I only have to work Tuesday through Thursday.
Oh, for Pete's sake. What are you new? Jesus.
All right, I have to stop. That's a lot of brownie.
What episode number is this? 324.
324.
Down in Fraggle Rock. Down in Fraggle Rock.
We should do something special for episode 333. Because we're like a third to 1,000 at that point.
Jesus.
That's in 9 weeks. All right. I'll think of something.
Hello.
All right, guys. I'm ending the stream.
Hey.
This is the point, though, where Dave gets a phone call from a family member. Good night.